Over time, the practice of self resonance gives our bodies an enormous gift. And that gift is the sense that we can trust ourselves, not to judge, not to belittle or reject our emotional experiences. And that is a quote from Sarah Payton, just an incredible mentor of mine. And she has done a great body of work around relational neuroscience. And as we all are seeing two different paths in front of us, there are so many people deciding to take a new path. And I want to honor each and every one of you as we start to change course. And I truly believe, my friends, that life is a canvas for cultivating both higher consciousness and self expression. And as someone for over 22 years that has been creating healing ecosystems through salon and spa and organic product development and deep spiritual journeys with hypnotherapy and quantum biofeedback, my creative works are really immersive journeys. And when you look at your life, what kind of picture does it create? Is this something that you're proud of, that you love? And if not, that's okay. That's where we are on this point in time. And these immersive journeys are intended to illuminate your pathway. My intention for divination, mediumship, psychic capabilities is to really go all in on my personal gifts, as well as shine a light back to the wholeness, allowing all of us and for you to remember your true nature and your authentic self. Because I'm telling you, you are your own guru. You are the most important healer, lover, wisdom keeper, teacher, and caregiver you will ever encounter. So I'm here to remind you of that power within your essence. And one way that I will be cultivating this is a divine download of divination. And you'll hear more about this. And I'm creating a ecosystem that will allow every single day to be an intuitive reading, but to also use the gifts of quantum biofeedback and scalar technology to allow you to do the interpretation and start to learn the gift of relational neuroscience, neurobiology based on spirituality and the energetic component. Because as the age of Aquarius comes in, that is the intuit that we will be mastering to take society and ourselves to another level that allows us to taste the inheritance that was always ours. And then unfortunately was taken away from evil and deceit. This is a really crucial time, and I want to invite you into this conversation and what I'll be sharing. But right now is really a time to progress spiritually, to have less ego of this ego inflation world that we've lived in, and really claim our authority and our authenticity. Our goal here is to really actualize our unique teleological destination. If you're an empath or you have ADHD, you understand that your nervous system is on all the time. I'm talking about developing those powers for ourselves to also help others create their own free will on their own path. And we've really lived within these constructs of two different programs. One is the tree of life, and one is the tree of death, because truth reveals itself. God and source reveals itself through wholeness, because the whole is greater than the parts. So how do we tap back into the language of the soul? God is simple. It's love, it's truth, and it's wisdom. And our connection is coming through our imagination, our intuition, our empathy. And these veils have been shadowing us for too long, and they're starting to lift off. And I think many of you can agree, this capability and this desire and deep hunger to connect is so vital. So everything else, right, in the fear programming running this old operation that is letting loose. We only consent to the true, simple, universal life force. No longer going to be allowed in our presence. So some would call it the belly of the beast. But if we turn back to the simplicity of quieting down, detaching from technology, the simplicity amid the complexity will reveal the true program that we all are tapping back into. One of my favorite mentors is Dr. John Demartini. And he always uses this quote from Emerson. It said that I like to hit them up with the rough electric shocks and break their delusion of suffering and help them see the magnificence of the hidden order that's in the apparent chaos, which is so beautiful. And I would really love to see that this suffering and our inability to perceive the balance of the opposites of the spectrum, the universal law that we live under, be flawless, right? Be whole, but not lawless, meaning there are universal laws that allow the duality in our lives and for us to see darkness and wholeness and our truth. So when we don't have the ability to see the opposites that we've lived under, what the brain is doing is that the brain is taught so much misinformation. It's not that we don't know so much, we know too much. And we're addicted to the pleasure of the dopamine. We're addicted to the support of systems and programs that don't serve us. If we don't challenge it, then you have an infatuation with the opposite. You're trying to separate the inseparable. You're trying to divide the indivisible. You're trying to unlabel polarization and polarize unpolarized perspectives. And you're creating this causality of separation instead of a state of synchronicity. And when you see both sides can hold the context simultaneously, living in the same spectrum at all times, but you can move in any direction, you're liberated. We can live in the synchronicity and honor both the positive and the negative. This liberates us from get lost in the law of contrast. There was a psychological study done where if you have contrasts and you take a beaker of water, let's say this beaker is 40 degrees cold, and another beaker of warm water that's around 70 degrees, and another beaker is 140 degrees, so it's really hot. And if you put a thermometer in each one, they give you an objective reading. But if you put your hand in one of these beakers, let's start with the lowest degree, it's 40 degrees, and you take your hand out, and then you put it into the 72-degree beaker, and you take it out and you put it in the 140-degree beaker, and you'll measure it accurately. But if you put your hand into the cold water, the 40-degree one, stick it in the 72, you're going to perceive that it's going to feel like it's 90 or 100 degrees because of the contrast. So if you stick in the 140 degree and you now stick it in the 72 right away, you'll think that it's more like 50 degrees. So you'll think it's colder than it actually is. So the second you contrast and judge something or somebody else relative to your perspective of yourself through the lens that you've lived through, that has created a bias of your identity, it just got skewed. And now you're exaggerating and minimizing yourself, and you've lost thyself. You're no longer thyself. You're now distorted. And that's why we compare ourselves to other people and we put them on pedestals. And it is the heart of having equanimity and equity that allows us to take the lens off of the skewed view of who we are. So it's important to have real-time feedback, to understand the frames that are objective to our nature and the law of cause and effect. And then this is where my perspective comes in on how can I create a daily experience that connects us back to our intuition. And as I stated, you are your own guru. It starts with being present. And as we learn more about polyvagal nervous system and somatics, we need a window of tolerance and people around us to witness ourselves as we heal and hold the context of the polarities. My goal is in the future, I'm here to remind you of the power within your essence. And we're going to do this through daily intuitive readings. There are going to be timeless readings where you can step in through divination. I'm creating an oracle card deck that I'm going to explain to you right now, but we're going to also be using tarot to expand the window of welcome, which refers to the range of emotional expansiveness through small sacred moments every day with your nervous system, through imagination, through creativity, allowing you then to channel the experience and live more fully within yourself so that you can also help others by being open and a clear vessel. So we are all channelers of energy. The vertical intuition is going to evoke and animate source through your presence and your interpretation. This oracle card deck that I'm going to be creating is going to create a twist in the industry of both hypnotherapy and tarot. I'm bringing in the neurobiology of superconscious neuroscience and the essence of being present in our life to the unconscious contracts, the unconscious beliefs and the stories that prevent us from this purpose-driven life from emerging within us and blocks us from living in true color of what we truly desire. It's going to wake up the desires that are in you that have been dormant. Where are they dormant? Where are they stored? So this divination approach through doing daily readings through cards will explore how past experiences get encoded instantly in our nervous system, capturing all the sensory and emotional data. It's called the holographic nervous system. So when we really are tapping into mediumship, or at least when I'm tapping into mediumship, my lens is brought through the language of our energetic essence. This process is automatic and subconscious. Overwhelming emotions induce a trance state as the mind tries to contain the pain to ensure its survival. So it happens as a traumatic split-second activation, which is then stored as a dormant knot in the quantum field, which is basically just these overwhelming emotions that as a child, you didn't have the ability to contain and to transmute and understand. So you go from a T4 to a T11, it blips in the blink of an eye, in the flash of a light, and induces a trance state that then further compounds over time and suppresses the pain into your survival mode. So naturally, the process of imagery, unconscious moments in real time through conversational hypnosis, utilize this holographic nature of memory where their fragments are contained. What these sessions are is an enchantment. It enchants you. Enchant meaning energy channeling, hypnosis for aligned neurotranscendence. We're going to go into the somatic search engine of your field. As I vertically download, you're going to activate the memory in your field. So if I'm in private sessions, or I will be educating other practitioners how to use divination professionally that has a scientific lens through conversational hypnosis, where it focuses on where the body first attempted to contain that emotional vibration of disharmony. So we and our clients can access that exact holographic moment this disharmony was encoded. Now, keep in mind that fragment is the container of a whole. When you unlock small fragments, it contains the whole of the emotion and unravels something so much bigger. The key is to complete the incomplete emotional frequencies that were stored during that encoding without reliving the images or the pain per se, but really falling in love of the truth and what we desire instead. And so we go through the four elements, right? We give birth through the wood, and the fire starts to burn it off and brings it to light. We go through the harvest of the earth and grounding it down with new understanding, which moves into metal, which is the maturity, the stabilization process. And so instead of we're giving this blessing to let go of the story, and now it is seen in a higher perspective. So once the scene is reimagined through tarot, oracle, divination, these different practices I'm going to be bringing together with a new resonance, that a missing emotional frequency is added, the reinterpretation through the cards and the imagination, the language of the soul, which are sensory systems, right? The colors in the cards, the scent that it evokes of the nature scene, perhaps, the textures, the sounds that come through the card, all sensory details that evokes and sparks the memories. And this is what creates that window of welcome to updates the nervous system, unlocking that previous trance state. It liberates us to live more present and inspired and clear and aligned with our divine purpose. So as we pick up naturally, on another layer here is relational neuroscience through the warmth of the feminine right side of the brain, self-talk, which is language that brings the intellect left part of the brain. We really help loosen and dislodge these knots in the field through exploration without having to go back to desensitizing the moment. You're already in a trance. Relaxation is great. And that's once you have evoked true understanding of what's really going on. If my clients come to me with, I want to quit smoking, that's your symptom telling you what you want. We have to unwield the unconscious moments to really have that pop up into the field so that you can recognize. So we're realizing that your inheritance through the higher realms of your intuition and your divinity unlock itself. So duality then within the yin and yang of our entity is akin to life. It's a spectrum that we tune into energetically. If we state that we're depressed and we give it permission to be what it is without judgment, we restore our embodiment of wholeness naturally by letting it just be expressed, connecting your dots, again, unwinding the holographic field. So at the core of the emotion, this may be an alarmed aloneness, right? So through the training, I will share with you the 7 different emotional circuits. That emotion is alarmed aloneness. It has detached the brain. It has severed the prefrontal cortex and got stuck in the amygdala as a baby, right? So what we're doing through these readings is we're actually restructuring the brain and the energetic field. And we're also connecting with our guides. If we go to the unconscious conversation, the unconscious contract that we're unwinding is as you compensate your appease and please personality is where that alarmed aloneness is manifested as an adult. And the unconscious conversation in your mind is typically going to sound like this. I will smile when I'm hurting, or I will not listen to my own needs. I will treat myself as unimportant. These are the unconscious contracts that we make that now we can expose through visualization and divination and intuition and tapping back into the essence of the resonance. Because resonance changes everything. Focus your attention on the image and allow its energy to do the magic. Notice the shapes. And I'm also integrating it into a quantum biofeedback where we will speak and you will speak into an app and it will feedback loop back to you through divination of tarot and the future of these oracle cards and share with you the story so that you can connect with the whispers of our aura and align our energy with this cosmic flow that lives through us. So this is the future of oracle experiences in my world. And to give you a sneak peek, the different elements that it will contain is these natural rhythms of integration as they are. And then you can lay these oracle cards over your tarot practice, or if you're a hypnotherapist or a healer, you can use them on their own. So they will contain the essential life essences of the Aquarian age knowledge. We're moving out of the linear, meaning the 7 chakra centers, the 7 universal laws of hermetics, the 7 subtle energy bodies, the 5 elements of Chinese medicine and the I Ching and nature, and the 7 circuits of emotion. So in a real example of what that may look like is we may be looking at a card and seeing the colors and fragments of the root chakra connected to seen as the pentacles in the tarot. And the layer of the energetic body is the etheric body. It's the physical body. It's the rooted physical body. It's the density. And then as you express through that card, the essence and the components may be solving problems through stability and practicality. What element is it? And that's your genius frequency. And how do you evoke that into the spirit of flow and creation? We're flawless, but not lawless. These universal laws respond to our frequency, our vibration, and our predominant thoughts. So if we can hold the context of light and dark, we can stand in the duality and recalibrate and unwind the biases. To be on the right side of this law consciously, choosing thoughts that align with positive abundance and the future that we want to offer ourselves and others. So I started with really going through the biases of the mind and how that creates separation and pain. There are 2 trees, of one of truth and one of death. And from this, I am taking a new path, and it's going to be a new body of work that is going to be seen in the world of divination in such a beautiful and different way that brings in the modern day work of non-talk therapy through the essence of understanding the language that our energy speaks. So as you go through the process, you'll learn it yourself, and then you can then take this and pick it up. And we've got some fun AI things that we're building around it for anybody that doesn't have a card deck so that everybody can be involved. So all my love, all my light. I hope this inspired you. If you're a practitioner, I can't wait to work with you and see what your feedback is working with the system. But I'm sending you my love. And with that said, I hope that you are aware that you are about to completely recalibrate your personal harmonious vibration through deep self-awareness that will bring you into a depth of vertical intuition and psychic abilities that are in your inheritance. You are your own healer. Welcome to the premise of this new body of work. I'll be sharing more in the future, and I'm sending you my love and my light.